Hey everyone, welcome to the investor.bet NRL round 18 try scorer projections video. Here we're using the stats from the NRL Bet Finder software, which you can use for yourself through the link in the description, but allows us to identify the most likely scoring positions for each team every weekend. So we're able to break down the positions based on where teams score their tries and also where their opponent concedes their tries. And then I've already done the research for you where I've taken the season data and broken it down further into the recent form to identify the players that, based on how teams are playing right now and over the past month or so, where it sets up best for them. So we have 9 try scorer selections for this week. I'm going to run through each of them game by game and share with you the reasons why I'm going with that selection. I'll also give you the company that has the best odds for that player. As with try scorers, the odds vary quite dramatically, particularly this week. Sportsbet are going up with very short odds for a lot of the players, so just be cautious if they're one of the main companies that you use with your try scorer bets. Definitely shop around and get some better prices, as it's going to result in more profit for you at the end of the day. How this works: the first game on Friday night, the Bulldogs versus Broncos. We're able to see where the Bulldogs score their tries, and a high ranking in this column, like 1, 2, 3, and highlighted green, that tells us that's where they score the majority of their tries, and also in relation to the rest of the NRL. And where the opponent, in this case the Broncos, concede their tries, we're looking for low rankings or red numbers, because that's where Broncos are one of the worst teams and concede the most tries in terms of the league through that position. This game, Bulldogs, pretty short favourites. Obviously, this weekend is dramatically affected by Origin, and there's a lot of shuffling around with players and certain players out for teams, so you have to factor that in. And this game, I'm going to take 2 players for the Bulldogs. Reason being is I think the Broncos, they've been having a lot of success lately going left edge, and they have no Shibasaki in this game, and also Reece Walsh is out as well. So I think that hurts that left-hand side of the field for them. They haven't scored down there as often without Walsh on the side. So the 2 selections I'm going to go for this game are both on the Bulldogs side. Firstly, and just coincidentally this week, we seem to have a lot of left wingers, but the first player is on the left wing for the Bulldogs, and that is Marcelo Montoya. He's $1.90 at TAB. Broncos have conceded to the left wing in 2 of their last 3 games. Jesse Arthurs is out as well, who's playing on the right wing. So I think Dean Mariner comes in to play on that right wing. Last time I saw the current lineups. So I think this sets up well for Montoya. Also expect the Bulldogs to not push all their attack towards that left-hand side of the field, but it has been a bit of an issue for the Broncos lately. And also without Shibasaki there, really, and without Stephen Crichton in the right center position for the Bulldogs, their left edge is technically their stronger edge on paper, so expect them to go that way more often. Montoya has scored in 2 of his past 3 games for a total of 3 tries, and has scored in 4 of his past 5 games against the Broncos. So at $1.90, happy taking him. I don't think the Bulldogs are going to be held to just the 1 try like they were last week against the Panthers. And then the other selection is in the second row, and I will really wish last week I went with Preston as the alternate selection for the Bulldogs, but I'm going to go with him this week. So Jacob Preston is $2.80 at Bet365. Broncos have only conceded 1 try to the second rower in the last 6 games. But the Bulldogs, in terms of the whole league, scored the second most tries through the second row, and they scored the most through the right second row. So $2.80, Preston has scored in 4 of his last 5 games, and he has scored in 2 of his last 3 against the Broncos. When they do go to that right side, expect him to get opportunities to go in for a try. And with these second rows, you do want to catch them when they're in that good try scoring form. So we'll look to capitalize on that here. So those are going to be the 2 selections. For the Broncos, like Karapani on that left wing, as I mentioned, is technically the best selection. I just think it's not going to be as easy for him. He scored in all 3 games this season, 5 tries, but without Walsh, without Shibasaki, I don't think it sets up as well for him. Bulldogs have also only conceded, even though they're ranked 10th, in 2 of their past 6 games to the opponent left winger. On to the Saturday game, Raiders versus Dragons. 2 plays in this game. They're both on the Raiders side, who are heavy favourites. Obviously, with try scorer selections, we're looking for value, but we're also looking for teams and players that are actually going to score as well. For the Raiders, we're going into the halves, first of all, and taking Ethan Strange. He's $2.75 at Bet365. The Dragons have conceded to a half in 5 of their last 6 games. And recently he has scored in 3 of his last 4 games for a total of 4 tries. Only played against the Dragons 1 time, didn't score in that game. But I think at the moment he'll get opportunities down that left-hand side of the field. And with the other selection, I did toss and turn whether I wanted to go on the left wing or the right wing. So I'm going to go on the right wing and take Xavier Savage at $1.75 at Bet365. I don't think there's much between him and Jed Stewart on the other wing. But the Dragons have conceded to the right winger in the last 3 games for a total of 5 tries and 7 of their last 10 games overall. He hasn't scored in his last 4 games, but if you go back a little bit further, he scored in the 3 straight prior to that and has scored in 2 of the last 3 against the St. George Dragons. They do concede quite a lot to the opponent left winger as well in 5 of the last 7 games, and Jed Stewart has scored in the last 2 games, or in both of his career games so far. But I like having one player on either side of the field so we're not as heavily reliant on a team going one way all the time unless there's a huge discrepancy, which can sometimes happen where when you look at this table, you'll see super high rankings to the right winger and really low rankings here, and then the opposite on the other side. Those situations, then I can sometimes get on board with playing the right center and right winger. But in this situation, it is fairly even. Dragons give up a lot to the wingers, but I'm going to play Xavier Savage on the right wing and Ethan Strange in the halves on that left side of the field. I also like the fact that Xavier Savage will be matching up on Siam, who's just had the 4 career games so far, compared to Jed Stewart matching up on Terrell Sloan on the other side of the field. I think it sets up better for Savage in this game, and considering they're the same price, I think he should be the one that is that little bit shorter. Cowboys versus Melbourne Storm. Interesting, like this game, they only met a few weeks ago and the Storm won dominantly, but the Cowboys have won the last 3 meetings up in Townsville. I do think the Storm win this game, even though both teams go into it undermanned. Prior to last week when they scored 30 against the Titans, the Cowboys' attack prior to that was awful. Hopefully that's given them this a little bit of confidence. I'm going to just play the one player from them just because we're getting just over even money, and it's Murray Talagi at 205 at TAB. That is the left winger for North Queensland. The Storm have conceded to the left wing in 6 of their last 9 games for a total of 9 tries. This is one of their worst defensive positions and clearly their worst side defensively. Talagi has scored in 9 of his last 11 games, is very, very consistent, which I would like to see when backing try scorers, particularly better than even money, and has scored in each of his last 3 versus the Melbourne Storm and also 4 of his last 5 games against the Melbourne Storm. I'm happy with this play. If the Cowboys get 2 or 3 tries, he should definitely at least get one of them. Then on the Melbourne Storm side of things, 2 players here. Firstly, at fullback, we're going with Ryan Papenhuyzen. Now, he hasn't scored in his last 5 games, so it's not really trending that well on recent form. But the Cowboys have conceded to a fullback in 3 straight and 4 of their last 5. And going back prior to his last 5 games, Papenhuyzen, he scored in 8 of his first 9 games this season. So was in really good try-scoring form. Gets an opportunity against a team that's been giving up tries and giving up a lot of points lately. And if the Storm do run up a score in this game and score 30 to 40 points, which I don't know if they'll get to 40, but I think they can definitely score around the 5 tries mark. They should make plenty of line breaks. The Cowboys making a lot of missed tackles and giving up plenty of line breaks, and Papenhuyzen is always that player backing up on the inside when a player makes a line break. So at $1.83, happy to play him. That's at Bet365. Have seen like $1.60, $1.65 floating around. If you're looking at that, definitely don't take it. You want 180 plus, definitely, just off his recent form lately, but I think this is a game where he'll get a try. Then on the left wing for Melbourne, that is Grant Anderson this week with Xavier Coates out for Origin. He's $1.80 at TAB. The Cowboys have conceded to the left winger in 5 of their last 6 games. Anderson has mixed around in positions a lot, playing in the centers, wings, alternate side of the field, but has scored in 7 of 13 games this season, 10 total tries, yet to score in his 3 games against the Cowboys. That likely changes on Saturday if the Cowboys' current defensive form holds up. This is definitely the weaker side of the field, the second worst defensive edge on that side in the competition. Expect the Melbourne Storm to target, and Anderson definitely is a prolific try scorer. The following game, the Roosters versus the West Tigers. Just the one selection in this game. It's on the Roosters side of things. There was a few players that I had shortlisted that had potentially good matchups, but when you look through the recent form, they're not giving up tries lately, and a lot of it came earlier on in the season. But the one that I want to go with is on the left wing for the Roosters, and that's Daniel Tupou. He's only $1.65 at TAB. There's not a huge amount of value, but at that price, it's definitely a bet. Don't want to be taking $1.50, although that sports bet we're offering when I was looking around. But the Tigers have conceded to the left wing in their last 5 straight games. Total of 7 tries and also 7 of the last 9 overall. Strategy for this game for the Roosters on paper looks pretty simple. Tigers leak points on their right side, so the opponent's left attacking edge, and they don't give up basically anything to the other side of the field. So if the Roosters keep going to the right, they'll make it tough for themselves. But if they push majority of their attack to the left, Tupou should score and the Roosters will find points. He has scored in 3 of his last 4 games, so started to find a little bit of form after a bit of a lean run to start the season. 4 tries in those last 4 games, has scored in his last 3 straight against the Tigers for a total of 5 tries. And if you go back through his career, has scored 21 tries in 15 games against the Tigers. So has been a side that he's had plenty of success against historically. There's no real try scores I want to take for the Tigers. Starford Toa at right center is on paper a good matchup, as this is where the Tigers score the most tries through any position in the league. But the Roosters, even though they're still ranked 10th, have only conceded to the right center once in the last 10 games. Moves to fullback for West this week. And just think with the makeshift lineup they have, no Jerome Luai either. They struggled without him last week. Just think the Tigers are going to struggle to score in this game, particularly with the Roosters off the bye and if they turn up defensively. And last game on Sunday, the Seagulls versus Rabbitohs. Just the one play in this game, and it's on the Seagulls side of things. I'm not taking anyone with the Rabbitohs. As you can see, their strong side is by far the left edge. We've spoken about this in previous videos. They push all their attack towards that left side of the field, but that matches up poorly for them against the Seagulls side, as that's their stronger side defensively, and we need to push more towards the right to find the weakness in the Seagulls defense, but that's not something they've been doing. Tyrone Munro on that right wing did get a try, I think last week or the week before, but they have been few and far between through the season. So not going to take anyone for the Rabbitohs, but back to the Seagulls. I think they're going to really push towards the left-hand side of the field here, because similar boat to the Roosters, there's not much use going right against the Rabbitohs. You're not going to see much success doing that. Went back through the Rabbitohs' last 14 games. They've only conceded 4 tries total to the opponent right center and right winger combined, and those 4 tries have come across just 3 of those 14 games, compared to they've conceded 14 tries to the opponent left center and left winger combined, and that has happened in 10 of those 14 games. And recently, the Seagulls' left edge has started to pick up and be that little bit stronger, and they've scored in 10 of their last 12 games. So on the left wing, we're going with Ruben Garrick. A lot of the left winger for the Seagulls has changed a number of times throughout the season, but Ruben Garrick scored on the left wing last week. The Rabbitohs have conceded to the left wing in 4 of their last 5 games for a total of 6 tries. Garrick has scored in his last 2 for a total of 3 tries and has scored in 2 of his last 4 against the Rabbitohs for a total of 3 tries. He's $1.77 at Bet365. I think he's a good bet here. They moved Tom Trbojevic into the centers last week. The Seagulls got the win by doing that. He stays there this week. But as much as the Seagulls have a strong right edge with Trbojevic and Saab, last week it didn't look like amazing. Saab did score, but it's not like a setup where potentially on paper it looks really strong, but it'll still take a few weeks to click, and then Tom Trbojevic potentially playing like he's not at 100%. And for the Seagulls, their left side right now does look pretty good. You got Toli Kola in the centers and then Ruben Garrick on the wing. I think it's a nice setup, and happy to back Garrick in this game. The other potential, if you could find it, I want to mention is the Rabbitohs give up the most tries to the opponent halves. The Rabbitohs have conceded to the opponent half in the last 5 straight games as well. But just for me personally, I just couldn't confidently back either Daly Cherry Evans or Luke Brooks to score a try in this game. Would lean towards Luke Brooks if I was to take one of the two. but probably not going to be a bet for me in this game. I'm just going to go with Garrick on that left wing. So to recap all the selections, starting at the top, Bulldogs, Broncos, we're going with Jacob Preston, $2.80 at Bet365, and Marcelo Montoya on the left wing, $1.90 at TAB. In the Raiders-Dragons game, 2 for the Raiders, Ethan Strange, $2.75 at Bet365, and Xavier Savage, $1.75 at Bet365. For the Cowboys, we're taking Murray Talagi at $2.05 at TAB. The Storm, Ryan Pappenhausen, $1.83 at Bet365, and Grant Anderson, $1.80 at TAB. Then for the Roosters Tigers, Daniel Tupou, $1.65 at TAB. And for the Seagulls, Rabbitohs, Ruben Garrick, $1.77 at Bet365. Remember, with your try scorer selections, you want to bet them all to win the same amount. So either 1 or 1.5 units. That's the best long-term staking plan for those selections. Last week, we had a number of players then ruled out from their lineups, and then the backup player score. So hopefully that's not the case with the selections this week. We can hit 6 or 7 of these. That would be awesome during this round where there's just the 5 games. Already posted a preview going through all the games and sharing the betting trends and who I think is going to win each game and why, and some of the stats. That's already posted on the channel. There's in-depth previews in the members area through the description. Plus, you can use all the Bet Finder tools for yourself as well. So definitely check that out. Other things coming up this weekend, we got the horse racing on Wednesday. We made 7.5 units on the racing to get July underway. Every month this year has been profitable. We're just under 250 units profit so far for 2025 on the racing. And on Wednesday, we surpassed 1,700 units profit all time since I started the racing show in October 2021. So we're coming up on 4 years in a few months, but up to 1,700 units profit. Now, if you're following the racing show as a $50 bettor, all you have to do is multiply that $50 by 1,700, and that will give you your overall long-term profit. If you followed the selections, obviously you can do better than that, because when I post the selections, I'm posting it as the average price across the companies. And if you shop around and shop the markets, you can get better odds on those selections, which I know a lot of members do. So if you're looking for that thing that'll allow you to build up your betting bankroll and make consistent profits every week, every month, and of course every year, the racing show is the thing to be able to do that. All you have to do is every Tuesday night and every Friday afternoon, log in, see the selections, and then go put the bets on your account. You don't need to sit there, watch the racing all day to be able to follow along. There's no last minute notifications on your phone or anything like that. Basically takes about 15 to 20 minutes on a Tuesday max if you're doing it slowly, and around the same 20-25 minutes. There's normally more bets to put on for a Saturday, so it can take it slightly longer. There's also a preview video similar to what you see here, where I'm breaking down the try scorers or breaking down the games of who's going to win, but doing that same thing for the racing. So you're also learning as to why I'm choosing those selections. So you're picking up those skills and how to analyze races and look at certain horses and see as to why that horse won't win that race or why that horse will win, breaking down the races from that perspective and going through all the different factors. So definitely check it out. I'll put the link to the racing show in the description. And if you have any questions about it or about anything to do with betting, feel free to put it in the comments or send me through a message. Thanks guys for watching. Good luck with your bets on the weekend. Hope you have a great one. I'll see you in the next video.